Hey, this is a video about main methods to track your AI search visibility with their pros and cons. The worst thing you can do in your AI SEO strategy is to choose only one metric, and I will explain why. The first method we have is tracking actually the sessions and conversions from AI chats, and the most popular approach to this is using GA4 data. I created a template or data studio template around 1 year ago for this purpose, and then I turn it into a part of the product inside Site Checker. The idea that for now this is the most accurate data we could have in this space, and the best way to with this data is not just show the sessions by pages, but also compare the organic search traffic and sessions from AI chats, to see whether, because it's often we see this big decline of the organic search traffic, and here we can explain to our customer whether they have some increase in traffic from AI chats as a compensation, and also the breakdown by specific LLMs, the user behavior overall from LLMs and so on. So you can also build it yourself. You can find a lot of free templates for this purpose. The main problem of this approach is that the LLMs really sends so a small portion of traffic to websites in comparison to Google that it's still the most accurate method, but it doesn't represent what's going on, what your users read about your brand and whether they see you at all. So this is the one problem. And the another problem that your AI traffic can change in 1 day because of the AI model update. You can see here as an example, sessions rose a lot, and this happened because ChatGPT in this month released the new model where they started to add links to all brands that they mentioned, and it increased sessions for all brands that were mentioned. So you have to keep in mind of it, because models, they update it every maybe month, maybe every quarter, and you may see rises and falls of your traffic from this source without any actions from your side. So keep in mind that. So and why do many sessions in AI chats end with looking? The another problem that even when people saw your brand in AI chats, they may not visit it by link, even if they present link. They can just go to Google and enter the brand name to see the SERP and evaluate your trust. Many people often like Google SERP as a trust evaluation, whether you have some reviews, whether some bad reviews about your brand published on third-party websites, whether you have the YouTube, Google My Business, etc., and it helps them to evaluate whether they can trust you. So that's the problem, that you may be visible, but the session will be attributed not to the LLM but to the Google organic search, and you will never know that. So the second method is using actually the Google Search Console data by brand search queries. So for example, you have a list of brand keywords, like every keyword that contains a brand you count as a brand keyword, and then you track whether impressions have changed for some time by your keyword. Often for small websites, the success in LLMs may be translated into the growth of brand searches too. But it also has the problem of this method is that brand searches can grow for many reasons, not just for success in LLMs. It may be influencers, it may be word of mouth, it may be some offline ads on conferences and so on. And if you run a lot of marketing activities, you don't know exactly what the reason was for this growth. And the second limitation of this method is that for large brands that they already have a huge amount of search queries by their brand keywords, and they won't the growth in 1% of uplift in 1% of impressions by brand keywords, it will be invisible for them. So method can work yeah, and you also should track it, but it's not as accurate to track for tracking visibility as prompt tracking. Yeah, so this is the third method where you actually have to, and you can start from tracking prompts manually. Yeah, you can just visit Gemini, Claude GPT, enter some top keyword you want to be recommended, where you want to be recommended as the best solution, and check whether your brand is presented there. And if not, this is the problem. But the manual approach, I don't like the manual approach, because you want to see it in the day by day how it changes, and you want to see who of the competitors have the biggest share, and which URLs were cited by LLMs as the data source for recommendations. Yeah, so that's why we go to the third method called prompt tracking. At its basics, at its core, yeah, all AI tracking tools do the same. They run your prompts every day. They check whether your brand and some competitor brands presented in the responses of LLMs, and based on that, they build the charts and tables for you, yeah, to show you where you are, how it changed through time, how do you compare to your competitors, how actually responses like. Yeah. And they also show you the list of URLs where you have to build presence, yeah, if you are not available there. So the main value of this approach, yeah, is that it fills the gap which GA4 and Google Search Console have. A lot of time, in most cases, your brand will be recommended, but it won't visit your website by the link it has. Yeah, it maybe happened later in Google direct typing, yeah, of your website, and you won't know what the first source when they found you. Another valuable thing that this is the only way to understand which websites impacted the AI answers and build strategy on how to improve your brand visibility. And this is the only way to measure what exactly LLMs say about your brand. Yeah, because you maybe have the problem of not visible at all, but then you may find that you are visible, but the things that LLMs say about you actually not what you want to say about your brand. Yeah, your positioning, your messaging, your category may change through time, and you may be visible by different topics that you are not care about anymore. Yeah, and the best way to see this is track keywords and really read the answers of LLMs to understand whether the thing they say about you, whether there is something that you want your brand is talking about. Yeah. As for the prompt tracking, yeah, I wrote the deep article, yeah, long read about my experience of using AI visibility trackers for the last 6 months. I used the most popular tools in this space, and I even have the video about all of these tools. I will attach to it, and you can check which of them you like, yeah, and features that you have to care about in these tools. Then the fourth method, I would say, this is the data we have in Bing Webmaster tools and also in Google Search Console. Bing Webmaster was the first who announced that it will show the grounding queries for all of the websites you manage there, yeah, and it was the first tool among like platforms that give access to it. It has some value. Yeah, you see that you are like visible by some relevant queries for you. The problem with all of that is that citations by some queries doesn't mean recommendations of your brand. Yeah, so if you were cited, it means some of your URLs were cited, but it doesn't mean that your brand was recommended as the best solutions. Yeah, it means that the platform there, for example, Microsoft Copilot, yeah, or ChatGPT, they can use your content as some source of truth, but they don't. It doesn't mean they will recommend your website, yeah, if they use your content. And this is the biggest problem, the biggest gap, and that's why citations it's rarely have any value, yeah, for you for tracking. Because okay, I see that my URLs like were cited, but what about brand recommendations? Yeah, and Google Search Console do the same. They recently released that they add the citations, but there is nothing about them. brand recommendations and brand visibility. Yeah. So that's why this method is not enough. You can't rely only on these tools. You still need some prompt tracker for complete picture. And the method is the log file analysis. Yeah, I saw it in a couple of tools. The idea that you may see widgets to your website, you may see whether you are visible by prompts in responses of LLMs, but there is some step where you may see the issues earlier, yeah, and fix them. And this step is whether your content is crawled by LLMs, yeah, by LLM bots. For example, because the first issue, most obvious, you can block some of LLMs there. Yeah. The next one is that some of your pages may be crawled earlier, or like as you updated them, you can see that they crawled almost immediately by LLMs, and this is a signal for you that it was updated pages. Yeah. Also, you can see whether some pages whether are broken, yeah, but LLMs still try to get them. All of this stuff help you to fix obvious technical issues and build a roadmap of which content is important to update and when, to keep your content fresh, to distribute the message you want to distribute to LLMs. Yeah. So this is the fifth method. And the last, sixth method is the users polls on sign up and demo pages. It's usually work primarily for B2B brands, because for B2C it adds too much friction, and B2C brands usually avoid this. For B2B, this is the must, yeah, because your user journey is long. Yeah, usually many platforms involved into that decision. Yeah, Google, LLMs, social media, review platforms, and so on. And asking the user where they found you the first time, usually the best way, yeah, to understand which channel works the best. And yeah, some people will forget where they found you, some will mistake, some will lie, but in my experience it's still not the majority of your users. It's maybe 5-10%, but for all others it's still people still leave the right responses. Especially valuable when you have option to add some comments, yeah, not just choosing the option. And they even may share which keywords or prompts they enter when they looked for solutions like you. So these are 6 methods to track all of this, to track AI visibility. If I miss something, add it in comments.